What's going on, everybody? My name is Israel, and you're watching Invest with Izzy. Thank you for tuning in for another video. So, this video is going to be part 2 of my Is Crypto a Scam video. The reason why I wanted to do a part 2 is because part 1 was good, but I just felt like I could have added more into that video, but I just ran out of time. So, part 2, I'm just going to literally dive deeper into some of the subjects that I was talking about and some other subjects so you can understand a little bit more of why crypto isn't a scam. And on top of that, I'm going to really just break it down very simple for my beginners, because my content realistically is more geared toward the more beginners, in crypto, so they can really understand it. Like, I'm not trying to get too hypothetical and use big words so I can confuse you and then spin back around and then sell you a product. No, I'm going to keep it real, keep it 100, and we going to keep it rolling. All right, so let's just start right off. And the first subject I want to talk about is I want to keep expanding on how Bitcoin is the new digital gold. So why I say Bitcoin is like the new digital gold. And actually, before I get deep into that, in general, I'm going to be talking about how crypto isn't a scam and it's the future. But for the most part, I'm going to be talking about Bitcoin, which is one of the cryptocurrencies, the biggest one, right? Everyone knows Bitcoin, right? So, like, you go on any channel, most crypto channels are going to talk about Bitcoin for the most part because it has the biggest influence on the other cryptos. All right. So now that we got that out of the way, let me get back into that first subject. So what I'm trying to explain is how Bitcoin's like digital gold, not how digital gold is like Bitcoin. Well, I guess you can say the same thing too. But how Bitcoin is like a digital type of gold, because gold is physical, right? And yeah, you can say, okay, well, I can go on TD or RBC, or if you're in the States, or I can go on Bank of America or JP Morgan and buy gold online. Yeah, but they still have to carry the physical gold of it, for you to have it. So it's not completely digital. So that's a downfall of gold, right? In the past, it used to be good, but now it's like we don't carry much anymore. Like, things are all online. Like, you know what I mean? We don't carry big hard drives like this just to store a bunch of videos. We have it all in the clouds, it's all in the cloud, because everything's getting smaller, everything's getting more quicker, everything's getting more expandable and all that. So that's an advantage that Bitcoin has over gold, and that's why it's not a scam. So also I wanted to say, realistically, you have to realize that gold by itself is deemed valuable as a commodity because everyone agrees on it. That's really all it is. All right? Because the basics of really anything, the value of anything is based on what people think or how much people think it's worth. Like, even like a deck of playing cards, right? I mean, not a deck of playing cards, but sports trading cards, right? People, like, literally, you can't tell me, I don't know, a LeBron James rookie card is worth $2 million. Like, it does nothing. It's just a card. I can rip it up, throw it in the garbage. That's it. So even like gold, it's not gonna, you can't eat it and then it just makes you a millionaire. Like, it's nothing like that. So just like Bitcoin, a lot of people say, oh, he has no value. I've heard it all. We've all heard it all. Oh, it doesn't do anything. Oh, this does this and that does that and that does this and this does that. You can say that about anything, basically, right? Except, some essentials like water, food, air, oxygen. Well, air is oxygen, but like housing, things like that, yeah, those things just have value. We already know because it provides value to our lives, and we need it to live mostly. So, but other than that, like things like silver, gold, I don't know, like just other things that aren't needs are based on the value that we put on it. So why I think Bitcoin is great and it's digital gold, because Bitcoin is so transferable. Like you can transfer it in seconds and someone else gets it, right? All the way across the world. And like I explained in the last video, you don't got to carry a whole big bag of Bitcoin, but you do for gold, and that can be robbed from you. All right? So things like that is really important. And another thing I really want to talk about is how Bitcoin can't be replicated and manipulated. So, number one, replicated, right? You can't just like create a Bitcoin and then pop it up and be like, oh, I have 10 Bitcoin. Like, no, you can't do that. Gold, you can literally make fake gold and lie to someone like, hey, this is gold, buy it for $100,000, and that person buys it and they realize that they just lost $100,000. Their life savings, everything's done. They'll never be the same again. Things like that can happen. But Bitcoin, yes, there still is ways to scam people, but it's not as much as gold. Like, let me show you guys something. All right, let's go in the browser. All right. So this is the map of where all the hotspots of gold is, right? So it's very spotty. It's here and there. It's not everywhere, right? You obviously can't find gold that easy, okay? But what they also don't tell you is realistically, we know that, yes, this is probably the hotspots that gold is at, but also what they don't tell you is what you don't know. And by that I mean that, like, you never know. There might be like a big huge mountain next to Mount Everest or something that these big companies, these billion-dollar companies, million-dollar companies go and they just get all this gold and they don't tell anybody and they just get rich. All greed, all for themselves, and you don't know about it. But Bitcoin, you can't. There's a fixed supply. There's only going to be 21 million ever released to the public, and you can track it. You can check it online. It's all by code that nobody can edit the code anymore. Once it was open, you can't edit it anymore. That's the beauty of crypto. And that actually brings me to my next subject, because other people can be like, oh, well, why don't we just have a digital dollar? A digital dollar, not a digital daughter. Yeah. Why can't we just have a digital dollar like CBDC? And for my beginners, you're like, what's a CBDC? A CBDC, it stands for a central bank digital currency. And what that is, it hasn't been formed yet, but the big banks are basically in talks, like they can make it up for the future, because obviously everything's going digital. So just like Bitcoin, they're trying to kind of copy what Bitcoin's doing. But the bad parts about CBDC, guys, is I'm pretty sure most of us would not want a bank in control of our money. They can see how much you have at any point. They can freeze your assets at any point. Like, that's a lot of control. Would you want that? Would you want that? I don't know. You tell me in the comments, because I certainly would not want that. Because what you'll see is a very like dictatorship type of power in the future. We all know how civilizations go. Like, for example, you get caught crossing the street without pressing the crosswalk button, and they lock you up and they freeze your money. Like, that would be terrible. At the end of the day, we're all free human beings. I feel like no one should have control over your money unless you did something crazy bad, obviously, right? Like murder, theft, things like that is already in place. So we already have that figured out. We don't need any more control in the government. So, and also centralized power. It's like only a few people or few companies have that power, which is the negative. But with Bitcoin, how it's not a scam and how it's so great is because is decentralized. So people in China can be miners and get some Bitcoin for keeping the network of Bitcoin strong. That's what a miner is. It's just like a gold miner, right? They go out, they mine for gold, they get the gold, and they can resell it. But that's only for people who have the equipment and all that. But with Bitcoin, most people have the chance to even mine it. Now, it's not all perfect. I'm not gonna say it's perfect, but it's more so of like you can't hide the Bitcoin. Gold, you can hide it. These big companies can go and get it some secret place. But with Bitcoin, all you need to set up your computer and it does the work to mine some Bitcoin, and it solves some math problems based on the algorithm. And then from those math problems, you get Bitcoin as a reward. And at the same time, you keep the network strong because you finish the proof of work, and you work to keep the network strong. That's why Bitcoin is so important in that way, because these miners also serve a double purpose. So that's why it's just so great, and it's very decentralized. That's what decentralized means. I know you guys probably heard 100 people say the word decentralized, and you're like, what is this term? Decentralized just means like it's not a few people or a few big companies that have the power, but it's anyone can have the power. That's what makes Bitcoin so great. Literally, this video could really, the title could even change to why Bitcoin is great over gold. But I just wanted to continue this series of, is crypto a scam? So it still works. So another thing I really want to talk about is things like tokenizing is the new way forward. And you might be wondering, what the heck is tokenizing, man? Like, can you break it down, bro? Like, stop trying to act so smart, man. Just break it down at a 5th grade level. And that's what I'm going to do. Relax, man. I got you. Relax. Okay, no. So the way tokenizing is the new way forward. And what is tokenizing? First of all, tokenizing is, for example, this is a very simple example. Let's say I have a football team, right? And we're called the Knights, right? And if I put it, let me not confuse it. Okay, let's say if I have a football team, it's called the Knights, right? And my friends want to invest in my football team. I can just create a crypto called the Knights, and anyone can buy into it and invest in it, all right? And you might be saying, well, that already exists in stocks. Yeah, but crypto is much easier to do it. Like, you don't need to go through the government and do all these different things. But another way, tokenizing is the future, and this is a real world example, is buying houses, let's say, right? Let's say there's a new building in New York or Toronto, and it's going to cost $100 million, and they need some funding to get it started. And each person can donate how much they want, but by the amount they donate is also going to determine how much percentage ownership they're going to have in that building, and whatever money that building makes comes back to the crypto and makes them money. That's tokenizing. So if I want to buy into that building, right, and I don't want to do all the paperwork and all that confusing stuff that these old systems have, tokenizing is so amazing, because it's like, let's say there's going to be a crypto website to where it's going to be like projects, right? The New York $100 million project. And you're like, oh, what? You know what? I want to invest in it. You click buy. I want to buy $1,000 worth. You click buy. And then now you have, I don't know, 0.001% ownership of that building. And then in the future, it's going to pay you back from all the gains you make. And you don't got to go through the government and signing big contracts. And it's all just buy and sell. Like, you can buy and sell whenever you want. So things like that, it's going to be the new way forward. Or even breaking it down to a normal house if you want to buy it with 3 friends, whatever it is. That's basically how tokenizing is into crypto, and makes it even better than gold. Like, there's so many use cases of crypto. It's amazing. And the very last thing I want to talk about is the blockchain history can't be tampered with in terms of the transaction history. So just simply put, it's not too deep, but like you can't go back and change the history of a transaction. Once it's transacted, we can go back to the past and look at what you transferred someone and things like that. But in these in these banks and the way they transact money and stuff, they hide a lot of details. So crypto is great in that way, and anyone can see this information. So that's the last point that I have to make based on that. And at the end of the day, I want to say this before I sign out. Understand this. Anything can have scams in it, right? The stock market has scams to where little companies pop up and they're penny stocks and they start at 5 cents and people say, oh, it's going to go to $5, $10, $15. It pumps a little bit, maybe to 50 cents. And then it just gets sold out by initial investors. And then that's basically a scam. And that also happens in crypto. There's things like that, but you got to do your research wherever you go, right? Wherever you go. With anything, there can be really a scam. So at the end of the day, don't let that be your excuse. Do your due diligence, do your research, do your time, put your time in. Crypto is not for everybody, but if it is for you, I hope you like it, because I definitely do love it. And it really is the future, you know? And an industry that's $3 trillion is not a joke. It's not just a bunch of 16-year-olds put $100 each, and now it's $3 trillion. No, they don't even have that much money. So, yeah, thank you guys for watching. I hope that cleared up part 1, and that's all I got for you. Thanks for tuning in, and just like that, I'm gone. Peace.